I'm getting married in 5 months, and recently my fiancé's brother got a new girlfriend who already has a child from a previous relationship, and even after being told no multiple times, both he and my future mother-in-law are going nuclear on my fiancé and me unless we agree to make the toddler part of the wedding activities. Posted by you/final_estimate 7166. I need some advice on this situation from an unbiased source. Me, 23F, and my fiancé, 27M, are getting married in December. We got engaged in April, and I pretty much did all the planning myself, with the help of my mom, in the first few weeks. From the very beginning, my fiancé and I had a plan laid out for the bridal party. That was one of the first things decided, even before I had the ring on my finger, including flower girls and ring bearers. We decided that the flower girl would be my sister, who's also my matron of honor's baby, who will be pushed in a stroller down the aisle by my 10-year-old cousin, who would be considered a junior bridesmaid. For the ring bearers, my fiancé really wanted to include his best friend's son. For context, his friend has not had custody of his child for most of his life, long story, and it could be a little difficult to arrange his attendance. He will be around a year and a half at the time of the wedding. As a result, we decided that we would also have my two cousins, 5M and 7M. They are the brothers of the junior bridesmaid, be ring bearers as well. This way, there is no pressure on the friend, and everything will go smoothly whether his child can come or not. The older boys will help the younger boy walk down the aisle by holding his hands. We decided on these specific children because they are closely related or close to us and are the right age. Shortly after the engagement, I asked my sister and my cousin, the moms of the children, if their kids could be in the wedding and gave details of what they should wear, etc. The kids and parents were both so excited. This was great and everything was going according to plan until a few weeks ago, when my future mother-in-law asked us if we would consider adding another flower girl. For context, my fiancé's brother and best man, 24M, lives across the country from us and recently told us, around 4 months ago, that he has a new girlfriend, 21F. This girlfriend has a child from a previous relationship, 10 months F. They have now known each other for about 7 or 8 months. He is very serious about her, and we are very happy for them. He has taken a sort of father role in her daughter's life, which is adorable. He is expressing interest in marrying her in the future, but they are taking it slow. My fiancé and I have never met this girlfriend or her child, but we are thrilled for his brother, so we of course invited them both to the wedding. Now this is where things get a little messy. I have always gotten along great with my fiancé's family. They have always been so sweet, kind, accepting, and well-meaning. They welcome newcomers with open arms, including me, and have really become my family. I especially had a great relationship with my future mother-in-law. She is the sweetest lady and would do anything for me and any one of her children. She lives very close to us, and my family lives far away. She was always the first to say that it's our wedding, meaning mine and my fiancé's, to encourage me to make my own decisions in wedding planning and not let my mother sway them. She has become like a mother to me in so many ways. With that being said, they are also very loving and accepting of my fiancé's brother's girlfriend and her baby from afar, which is great. I'm so glad that they are so supportive. They even started calling her baby their first grandchild and flew across the country to meet them. With this context in mind, a couple of weeks ago, when my future mother-in-law and I were hanging out, just the two of us, she asked me if I would consider adding the girlfriend's baby as a flower girl. She said my fiancé's brother keeps bringing it up and that it would be really cute. I politely told her that we already had a flower girl, my niece, and a junior bridesmaid assigned to push her in a carriage. She responded by saying essentially, "What's one more?" She will probably be able to walk by herself down the aisle by then, around 14 or 15 months. I kind of just said I would think about it with my fiancé and changed the subject. Later on, I told my fiancé about it, and we both agreed that it wasn't a good idea because 1. We already had the role filled, and it would be sort of awkward to have a baby randomly walking next to the stroller with the other baby. 2. If she needed help walking, it wouldn't be easy for the 10-year-old to juggle 2 kids down an aisle. 3. We have never met her, and she might not be comfortable walking down the aisle of a wedding where she knows nobody. 4. They aren't married, and worst case scenario, if they break up, she's in all the pictures. I know that sounds harsh, but I come from a family where, traditionally, if you're not engaged, you don't get A+1, no matter who you are. I am not following this rule, and everyone's significant other is invited. But that doesn't mean they get to be in the wedding. My fiancé and I were on the same page about this. We agreed to keep the bridal party the way it was. He talked to his brother and essentially told him it was a no, and everything was fine and everyone was on the same page. Until the other night. We were at my future mother-in-law's house again, but this time my fiancé was there too. Once again, my future mother-in-law brings up the flower girl thing, and my fiancé tells her that we already have the position filled and that's that. But then my future mother-in-law tells my fiancé how much it must mean to his brother since he keeps bringing it up. This brings out the empath in my fiancé, and he starts to have an open mind about it. Meanwhile, I'm still against it. I start to voice some of the reasons I listed above. My future mother-in-law points out that all of the children in the wedding are from my side except one and that their side doesn't have any representation. Meanwhile, this is because there are no children on his side. She also points out that there are 3 little boys in the wedding, and why can't there be 3 little girls? At this point, she's convinced my fiancé, and I'm an island. I'm still defending my position alone. She wasn't being rude or anything, but every reason I gave, she seemed to have a rebuttal. She's saying things like, they will get married one day anyway, and she's already part of the family. Then I start saying, we will think about it, and she's like, so that sounds like a no, and I'm like, we will consider it. Then it got awkward, and I was about to cry, so I changed the subject. The whole time I felt like I looked like a major jerk. It was really bad. My fiancé has since apologized to me for being open to the idea in front of his mother when we had already decided against it. From what he believed about his mother, he figured she would just have an open conversation with us, and not try to push her way. I figured it would not go that way. Later that night, he called his brother and told him it was for sure a no and that we had already asked other people. His brother was sad but understood. I felt really bad and guilty for making my fiancé feel bad. In hindsight, I really should not have because of what followed afterwards. This is where my previous post left off. A lot has happened in the last few days. I was worried immediately after that conversation that his mother would tell his brother that my fiancé was for it and I was against it while we were at her place. My fiancé said that he knows his mother well and that she wouldn't do that. The next morning, his brother calls him wanting to talk. The first words out of his mouth are, after our conversation last night, I talked to Mom and she said that you were wanting to have her as the flower girl and your fiancé, me, wasn't. Just as I thought would happen. And he goes on to say, as your brother, I want to make sure that you get what you want since it's your wedding. I was pissed. My fiancé told him that we would still talk about it, but that we had already agreed not to have her as the flower girl, and that he should not have seemed so open to it last night. That whole day we discussed it. I felt like a jerk and was tempted to cave to keep the peace, but the only reason my fiancé was reconsidering it was because it meant a lot to his brother. But the conclusion we came to was that it's not his brother's wedding. So we called him up a few hours later and told him no for the 3rd time. He was upset, but at least it was over. Or so we thought. He texted again the next morning, expressing how hurt he was by it. But at that point, we were like, the decision is made. It's our wedding. Please get over it. And then my fiancé's brother enlisted their mother. She calls my fiancé and basically attacks him for almost an hour on the phone. My fiancé did a great job of standing up for us and sticking to his guns. His mother went as far as to say that my relationship with his whole family will forever be affected by this decision. That one hurt. And that my fiancé's relationship with his brother will forever be altered. At this point, this is all going way too far. We ended up talking to my fiancé's sister and found out that his brother no longer wants to be best man anymore and that neither of them want to speak to us for a while. They said that this won't be resolved until we give in. I'm at a loss for words. This doesn't even feel like a real situation, to be honest. I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. We are definitely not going to give in. At this point, all that it would tell them is that if they push hard enough, they can manipulate us. It just really hurts because we had such a great relationship before this. /relevant comments. Commenter. Your fiancé needs to do 2 things. 1. He needs to tell his brother that he had a weak moment and caved into their mom's pressure about this. That while he is sure that if the brother gets married, you both will welcome the new niece with enthusiasm and open arms, and will not hesitate to treat her as any other niece, you haven't even met her yet. And this isn't about her, since she isn't even 2 years old yet. 2. He needs to call his mother and tell her to fix this goddamn mess she has created by not taking no for an answer, by not supporting you both on your wedding versus a child you have never met, and by gossiping so that his bride is being trashed and his brother dropped out. That she should have stayed out of it, and if his brother doesn't apologize and back off, he will be telling everyone what a mess she and his brother created. And she will have to answer all the questions about where her other son is at the wedding. Commenter 2. Not the jerk. Seriously, all of this is very premature. Is your future brother-in-law your mother-in-law's favorite? Because it seems to me that a lot of focus was placed on this new relationship right when you're getting married. Do you think this is something new, or do you think your mother-in-law's mask might have been slipping? Because this feels very narcissistic to me. And they love finding ways to flex that they're more important than other things going on. I have PTSD flashes around my birthday because my family would make sure I knew everything else was more important than my birthday. Your wedding is not the runway to show off your brother-in-law's new relationship and Insta-family. Commenter 3. Inviting her and the child to the wedding was enough inclusion and kindness to newcomers. Your future mother-in-law and brother-in-law have way overstepped. Being extra nice maybe would have meant including them and the child in wedding photos, but having them in the actual wedding is weird. You don't know them. Honestly, I'd elope to avoid it, because now you're the outsider. All for a girlfriend of 8 months. I'm sorry. This is a sucky situation. Ops response. We have also extended that extra kindness by offering for them to be in the family photo. Update 3 days later. Thank you to those of you who gave great advice and were trying to help the situation. Your insight really opened our eyes, mine and my fiancé's. A lot of you hit the nail on the head. Brother-in-law is the golden child and has always been greatly favored over my fiancé by their mother. Brother-in-law is the youngest, and his mother has been coddling him his whole life. My fiancé is the oldest and tends to be the peacemaker and the one who sacrifices. A lot of you also called out the triangulation manipulation. I told my fiancé this, and he said that his younger brother would often rope his mom into their arguments, get her to take his side, and get my fiancé in trouble no matter how ridiculous or wrong his brother was being. He mastered the art of triangulation manipulation from a young age. My fiancé would just take it and apologize to keep the peace. For those of you who said it's ridiculous to have a child we have never met and are not related to, and have not even met her mother, as such an important part of our wedding party, thank you. I was feeling like the crazy one for thinking this. Also, additional info, I was being gracious when I said they have been together for 8 months. They have known each other 8 months and only been officially dating for 4 months. The wedding is further away than the length of their entire relationship. It's bizarre that they are pushing so hard for this. For those who said we should have granted their request and just kept the peace, my fiancé has been doing this his entire life with this family. That is probably why they resorted to their usual manipulation tactics. He never actually wanted to have this baby in our wedding. He, in fact, thought it was pretty ridiculous of them to ask. He was just ready to cave because he always does to keep the family peace, at the expense of himself and his needs and wants every time. Except the difference is, this time the wedding is about him. It's his day, not his brother's. Well, both of ours. And that's the other thing. He has me this time to stand up for him and what he actually wanted. I also wanted it too, which helps lol. On to the update. A lot has happened. Today my fiancé went to see his dad and then his mom. They are separated. His dad is neutral but has been sticking up for me in this whole thing. I have a great relationship with him. He filled us in on a lot. Here is essentially what has been happening. Turns out, brother-in-law's girlfriend has more to do with this than we thought, as some of you suggested in the comments. She is the one who has been encouraging him to push for this because it means a lot to him and has been super offended and making a big deal about us saying no. Personally, if it were me, I would never ask someone if my kid could be in their wedding, even if it's family. But forcing it on strangers is wild. My fiancé found out from talking to his dad that my future mother-in-law and brother-in-law are spreading a whole bunch of lies. Here is what has unfolded. My future mother-in-law is telling people I'm racist and that's why I didn't want the baby in the wedding. Apparently the baby and her mother are Filipino, which I honestly didn't even know because, once again, I've never met them. They live across the country. I don't even know their last name. But still, I don't care what race they are in the slightest. The girlfriend now believes this and doesn't even want to come to the wedding anymore. That's her choice. Also, the wedding party is made up of diverse ethnicities, so how is it that I'm racist? Brother-in-law is telling people that we are judging the girlfriend and don't want her child in the wedding because she was born out of wedlock. Which is ridiculous. 2 of the children who are already in the wedding were born out of wedlock. 1 from each side. They have been talking behind our backs, gossiping, making up lies about me, and assuming things about me that are not true. Brother-in-law is twisting and changing my fiancé's words into complete lies that make him seem like the victim. He is feeding these lies, things my fiancé did not say, not only to his mother, but also to his sister and his dad. My sister-in-law and father-in-law are both neutral and won't take sides but think that this whole thing is insane and want it to end. We do too. They both see that they are the ones stirring this whole thing up and hate me for no reason. So today my fiancé went to see his mother to essentially call her out for her behavior. She was absolutely hysterical and was not ready to listen to reason or logic. She deflected and denied and lied about things we knew were in fact true. She refused to take accountability or any sort of blame for the situation getting out of hand. She just deferred back to blaming me for everything and making me the villain and herself and her precious baby son, brother-in-law, the victim. Meanwhile, the last time I spoke to either of them was when we had that conversation with my future mother-in-law at her house, where my fiancé slipped and this whole thing started. My fiancé has been handling this whole thing and even trying to shield me from the blame and take it all for himself. It's not working. My future mother-in-law and brother-in-law have made this whole thing up in their heads and driven themselves and everyone else crazy over it. Meanwhile, all I've done is express my concerns about having a child in the wedding that we don't know, in that initial conversation, especially when they aren't engaged or married. And the fact that we already filled the roles. She denies favoring brother-in-law and claims that she is hurt by the accusation, and then in the same breath, favors him and defends him. I feel the worst for my fiancé because he doesn't even want anything to do with them anymore, does not feel the need to keep up with these relationships. He said that his mother expected him to fall on his face today and apologize for everything because that is what he was forced to do growing up and that's what they are used to. But now that I'm an extension of him, he is not letting me or us get treated this way. He is angry that they are selfishly trying to use our day to make some grand gesture to his brother's girlfriend, who he's been dating for 4 months, and that they refuse to respect our wishes. He is shocked and disappointed that they are lying about us and creating drama around our wedding. He is saying goodbye to this toxic cycle and is going to go no contact until they come to their senses and fix this mess. For those of you who asked, we are in premarital counseling with our pastor, who is also our officiant. He was bewildered that they even requested this in the first place and shocked and dismayed that they have turned it into such an ordeal. Anyway, this wasn't the update we hoped for, but it's the one we have. Hopefully one day things will turn around. We are hoping my future mother-in-law at least comes to her senses, considering we are the only family that lives near her. Maybe she will learn to support the son and daughter-in-law who will one day birth the grandkids she actually has a shot of seeing regularly, rather than blatantly favoring the son and girlfriend who live across the country. But for the time being, this is it. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Maybe she will learn to support the son and daughter-in-law who will one day birth the grandkids she actually has a shot of seeing regularly. This woman has called you all sorts of terrible things and made up lie after lie about you. She treats your fiancé like scum. You're having to password-proof and security guard your wedding because of her. Why would you ever, for any reason, let her around your future children? She'll treat them like she treats your fiancé and let them know how horrible you are. Their visits with grandma will be filled with stories about how horribly Uncle Perfect was treated, how racist you were for not letting Cousin Perfect be in the wedding, if, of course, he's still with his girlfriend, how sad she is, and how you made her sad. As soon as your brother-in-law has a kid, she'll be too busy with the child from her golden child to even pay attention to your children anymore. Why would you subject your children to that? Ops response. Oh God, you might be right. I never thought of this, but she totally would. She did this with her own kids against her own husband. Commenter 2. Tell your father-in-law and sister-in-law that by not taking sides, they are, in fact, taking sides. Just not yours. Ops response. Actually, I would argue that if anything, they are taking our side but just not rocking the boat with my future mother-in-law and brother-in-law. They both said their piece defending us, and when my future mother-in-law and brother-in-law rebutted with a ridiculous argument, they just changed the subject and avoid the wedding topic altogether. They are doing this to try to stop the family drama rather than fan the flames. Second update 2 days later. Hi guys, I have a small update. I decided to just be the bigger person and try to dissolve some of the tension myself. I was tired of my fiancé talking to his brother and his brother twisting it, so I tracked down my brother-in-law's girlfriend on Instagram and sent her a DM, like some of your comments suggested. Thank you. I cut out the middleman, literally. I sent her a very nice message telling her how excited we are to meet her and her daughter, explained from my point of view in detail everything that went into the original decision about the flower girl and cleared up all of the miscommunications, her boyfriend's assumptions and twists of my fiancé's words, but I didn't say that. Surprisingly, she was very kind and appreciative. Her message back was very mature, gracious, and understanding. Me and her are 100% good, and she and her baby are very excited to come to the wedding. Honestly, it could not have gone better. Now for what everyone is wondering about, we are still low contact with my future mother-in-law and brother-in-law. My fiancé is not ready to talk to either of them. Brother-in-law has not tried to reach out. That night, after my future mother-in-law had that horrible conversation with my fiancé, she found out that my sister-in-law was coming to my first dress fitting the next day and that she wasn't invited. She asked my sister-in-law to call us and ask if she could come to it. We told her there would be others, and that I wouldn't really be able to enjoy the day with all the tension. The next day, I had a great time with my sister-in-law, And did not mention the topic or situation even once because I knew she was forced to hear about it from both her mom and my fiancé. My future mother-in-law reached out to both me and my fiancé and asked to talk to both of us in person and proposed a few dates. My fiancé told her that he was not ready to talk to her yet after how their conversation went the day before. The timing of it tells me that she definitely sees that if she doesn't make this right, she will be left out of all the wedding stuff. Not only that, but also all of the life stuff that we're doing. For example, we just put an offer in on a house. I'm holding out hope that our relationship with her will be mended one day soon. I'm hoping that his brother also comes around now that we have explained everything to his girlfriend. My fiancé has expressed that they need to apologize before we can move forward. Not too much of an update, but just wanted to keep you guys in the loop. Thanks for reading and following along with this madness. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. If your brother-in-law's girlfriend is that understanding, that relationship will hardly last. Nobody can stand a jerk who's backed up by his mom. Commenter 2. Makes me wonder if it really wasn't the girlfriend pushing for this after all, but the brother-in-law himself. He's shown that he'll lie and twist things as easily and readily as the future mother-in-law, so maybe he threw his girlfriend under the bus and blamed her when really he was throwing a golden child-sized tantrum because his brother is finally getting some attention, because it's his wedding day and for once it's not about the brother-in-law. Commenter 3. I'm guessing this is off your hands now? Your future mother-in-law has to fix the mess with her son, not you, right? Anyway, good update. I hope it all resolves without any more drama. Op's response. He is insisting she apologizes to me before talking to her as well, because she spread so many lies about me. But yes, I'm waiting for him to deal with it when he wants to. Third update 4 days later. Brother-in-law's girlfriend broke up with him. I don't know all the details, but my brother-in-law told my sister-in-law, who told my fiancé this morning. Apparently, she said she couldn't deal with the toxicity and drama of his family. Trust me, girl, I get that. But my fiancé is super upset because he thinks that she means us, as in me and him. I said that after our messages the other day, she probably means my future mother-in-law, but my fiancé is convinced that from her perspective, he and I are the toxic ones creating drama. I don't know. That's debatable, I guess. Either way, he feels super guilty and now just wants to fix everything with his family. I'm convinced that if anything, my text to her showed her how crazy he made this whole situation, and it probably illuminated some of his issues. I think he probably tries to manipulate her too. But it's hard to say. I don't know her or their relationship. At this point, I'm speculating, but I'm sure that there were other issues between them. Nobody breaks up with someone they truly love just because of their family. There has to be something else. Let me update you on my future mother-in-law. She called my fiancé the other day, before the breakup, which we all just found out about this morning, and told him, maybe it's good this all happened. Now you're going to therapy to work on yourself, and my mother is being super supportive. We did not appreciate that. It felt super condescending, to be honest. But anyway, he called her this morning after all of this, and she said she was trying to see us so that she could apologize to us. I will definitely hear her out and accept her apology. I will move on from this, but I'll always watch my back. Things can be cordial again though. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I would see it the way you did. She broke up because of the lies and toxic behavior of your brother-in-law and future mother-in-law. But your fiancé. He needs to get a backbone and learn to stand up for himself and for you. That will not work if you are the ones who have to compromise and apologize and whatnot. A lot of relationships break because of family, and often because those families make the situations unbearable with their toxic behavior. And the partner from that family is not supporting or drawing boundaries with that family. Especially when the behavior is targeted at said partner, like they are demeaning and or condescending toward them, showing outright hostility, or taking passive-aggressive or aggressive approaches. And when it happens in front of both partners, but the one from that family is not supportive or just brushes it off as that's just how they are. This destroys a lot of relationships. Love is not enough. You can love someone, but when it starts to affect your life and mental health, it's too much, and you have to protect yourself. And you can't trust your partner on top of it, because they don't have your back or support you. So, the only way to solve this in those cases is to leave. Commenter 2. They weren't together long enough to be so deeply in love that she should put up with dramatic family members, whether she means you and your fiancé or your mother-in-law. Her deciding to get out while the getting is good is a smart move. That said, you'd be very foolish to accept your mother-in-law's apology. Not only did she make this entire situation untenable for everyone concerned and make it very clear to your fiancé that he has less value to her than her precious golden child's new girlfriend, but she compounded this entire situation by lying to people and calling you a racist. So, while I think you can certainly hear her out, without a full and public accounting, I would not accept her apology, and I would keep my eye on that woman. She turned on you so fast it was like being struck by a snake.